The Drone Champions League, the world's biggest and best team drone racing series, is back for 2018. And if you were here in Munich or with us on YouTube and Facebook yesterday, you'll know we are back with not only incredible pilots, but the amazing racing you would expect from them. And we bring the season to you live from Munich in Germany, an absolutely incredible location, a beautiful place to come and visit. One of the friendliest cities I've had the pleasure of visiting around the world, one of the nicest, greenest. I could go on for the 3 hours we plan to do this show, telling you how nice Munich is. That is some surfing that you can do in the English Garden, believe it or not, in one of the parks in the center of Munich. We are in the Olympic Park, famous from the incredible 1972 Olympics here in Munich. An amazing site, towers, original venues, grass, dangerous water for drone racing, and myself, Matt Andrews, with Martijn de Kemp in the middle of it all. And what a place to be, Martijn.
So wonderful, so wonderful. Yes, up for the second day right now. Yesterday we had some great racing, and yeah, we look forward to doing it again. Faster, better and stronger. I know the teams are ready.
Yeah, the teams are ready. We are ready. The whole crew is ready. There's an awful lot of people involved in bringing you this production. There's a lot of people ready to work very hard for the next few hours, so strap yourselves in, because we have incredible drone racing for you. And this is how the Drone Champions League works. We've had qualifying earlier today. We did a whole Drone Prix yesterday with qualifying, but that was just yesterday. We've done it all again today. Qualifying throughout this morning. We take the best 3 consecutive laps for each pilot. We combine them together into a time. That gives the team a time. We rank the teams from fastest to slowest and line them up in quarterfinals, semi-finals, and the grand final. It's a knockout series. The fastest team in qualifying will race against the slowest. They'll progress to the semi-finals and to the grand final later on. All of our teams have 4 pilots, and each one of our quarterfinals, semi-finals, and grand final will have 5 races, 5 heats. 4 single heats first, where 1 pilot from each team will race a pilot from their opposition. We'll start off with the slowest pilots in qualifying racing each other and speed up towards the fastest ones. If you win that one-on-one race, you score a heat point for your team. And then unique to the DCL, we bring you the big heat, where all 8 pilots will be racing at the same time. Win that, and you'll score 1 point for your team. If a teammate of yours comes in second behind you, you can score 2. If you were 3-1 down after the single heats, but you take all top 3 positions in the big heat, you'll get 3, and that'll send you to the next round. And if you can do a complete clean sweep, your teammates all make it to the finish, and all in front of your opposition, 4 points are yours. You can turn bad performances, disappointing performances from the single heats around. You can turn that into a big win in the big heat and go to the next stage. There's one of our drones on a starting block, ready to go. All the drones weigh between 780 grams and a kilogram. They're all equipped with cameras for our pilots to fly FPV. Most of the drones towards the lower end of that weight limit, Martijn.
Yes, yes, definitely. Pilots try to keep it as light as possible to make it as agile and fast as possible. So yeah, it's always trying to balance out weight and performance.
That's a drone. But if you'd like to know how to race it, we have a reigning world champion in the shape of Gary Kent to tell you how.
Hey guys, my name's Gary Kent from Next Blades Racing, and I'm going to tell you a little bit how we race our drones. So this is our racing drone. The camera on the top, the big camera, GoPro, records the video for the viewers at home, which is in HD. The camera on the bottom is the view that we see. So that camera feeds a video signal back to these goggles, so we fly from the pilot's perspective. You feel so close to the drone. It feels like you're actually sitting inside the drone. It's like you feel the wind rushing past you, and you have a real connection with the drone, and that's what you get from wearing these goggles. So finally, we have the remote. So the way it works is on the left-hand stick, you have the up and down, controls your speed and your height. The left and the right allows you to spin the drone, and the right-hand stick pitches the quad forwards or backwards or left and right. So the technology we're using here is absolutely amazing. You are tricking your mind into believing that you are inside the drone. The speed and the feeling that you get when you're sat on the line with the goggles on is like nothing else you have ever tried before. So that's it for me. Hope you enjoy the racing. I'm going to get back to it.
Thanks very much. Gary Kent there telling you how it's done. It's not easy, but if you're going to do it and be a professional drone racing pilot, you will join us on the DCL in these seats here on our stage in the middle of a lake. That's where we're going to do it here in Munich. Teams will come on this stage and compete in these one-on-one single heats and then 4-on-4. And it is a professional sport, the best drone racing series in the world. So we have rules and regulations and a chief judge to make sure that it all goes to plan. Lucas Baumann here. We had a lot of fun yesterday with the first race of the new season.
Yeah, good times yesterday. I hope they keep it up today. Season opener in Munich. Yeah, let's go.
You had to give out a few cards, you had to get involved with some protests and so on. We have various rules that we'll explain to you over the course of the day, whether if teams want to register a protest to try and get a rerun of a race. Some challenging conditions for these pilots, and we had a couple of reruns. Are you happy with how everything worked out?
Yeah, absolutely. The pilots and also the manager, everything's fair. Of course, reruns happen. We have technical issues, video issues, but we make sure that everybody is having a fair and fun fight and a good time.
Good times all rounds. Thank you very much, Lucas. So this is where you race. You know we're in Munich, and you've seen that. You've met Gary Kent. He's told you how to race. But what are we racing around? 460 meters of a course. And here's Angelo Feschl to show you it in person.
Hi, I'm Angelo Samuel. I'm here at Olympiapark Munich, and I'm going to show you the track. It's really fast, and more than half of it is over water. This is the starting platform. We are flying 3 rounds over the track, and a great time would be under 1 minute. Let's check out the course. This is the first obstacle after the high power start. We have to watch out for mid-air collisions because all of the 8 drones have to fly through this gate, and the perfect line would be on the left side to the next obstacle. This is the most technical part of the track. We are arriving here with full speed with over 140 kilometers per hour. Then we have to fly 2 180-degree turns. The first one through the DCL gate, the second one through the Breitling gate, and then we have to fly over the bridge. We have to cross this flag on the right-hand side, and then we have to fly a split S under the bridge. This is the most dangerous part of the track. If you are too fast or fly forwards, you crash into the water. Out of the bridge, into the water slalom. After the 5th cone, we are passing the starting platform, then we have to turn into the crash gate. Thanks for watching and enjoy the race.
Thank you very much, Angelo. Yeah, a really good course. Pilots have been brilliant on this yesterday. And having a lot of fun of it, I'm sure, today. Interesting, we'll bring you qualifying results in a little while. It's interesting to see that it's been possibly more challenging to some of them today, Martijn.
Yes, I would say so. Some teams had some serious problems. For instance, mentioning the US team, they actually lost 5 quads at the airport, and yesterday they sunk 3 of them in the lake. So for them it was a long night. I'm excited to see what they're going to bring to the table, because all of their pilots are super talented. And then also Next Blades, the reigning and defending world champion.
Yeah, funny you should mention them. They were the champions of our 2017 season. That rounded off here in Germany. That ended in Berlin in December. Let's introduce you to them and some other pilots looking to win today.
Case is a new guy in the team, and he's really fast.
This is Angelo Samuel, and he's a super stable pilot and also a funny guy.
This is Lucas Wahl. His name is Seth, and he's really the fastest guy in the team.
As VFPV is our captain, and he is a real machine.
We are Team Germany. Last year we were 2nd, but now it's time to win.
This is Young Rock. He joins the team from Next Blades Free Throw last season.
This is Heiko. He's a new friend from Germany.
This is Brett, and he's the fastest guy from last DCL season.
This is Gary, who brings a wealth of experience in racing with rock-solid nerves. Together we are
Team Next Blades.
We're the reigning champions, and we're looking forward to defending our title. Let's go!
Yeah, we have great pilots. We have a lot of fun with them as well, Martijn. Real personalities between them. The world champions are great guys. And a German hopeful team in the shape of Air Carvers Germany, some of whom we know well from last year.
Definitely, yeah. Unfortunately, yesterday they didn't have the amount of luck they were hoping for, but I'm sure they will revenge themselves today.
Here's what happened yesterday. Let's show you the outcome of it. It was the very first day of racing for 2018. It was the same course, but we were live at 7 p.m. yesterday evening. We finished at around something like 10:30 last night. So it went from dusk, well, lovely afternoon, down to dusk, down to darkness. And as you can see in that, ultimately, Rotorama were the champions, beating out the Japanese team Raiden Racing at the end of the day. The world champions, Next Blades Racing, who we just introduced you to, they went out in the semi-finals. But today, look at your screens, Next Blades Racing, in qualifying today, their pilots are 1st, 3rd, 5th, and 6th out of the 32 pilots who are here. That is an astonishing turnaround after good but not stellar performances from them yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely amazing performance by them in qualifying. It puts them up as a #1 team right now. So that's beneficial to them because now they have to face the slowest team in qualifying, which are the Swiss Black Kites.
Yeah.
But then again, anything can happen.
Next Blades Racing were the top team in qualifying yesterday, but they didn't have the individual performances as we've just seen there. 1st, 3rd, 5th, and 6th is a huge statement. They'll race Swiss Black Kites in our first quarterfinal. Air Carvers Germany, your team Munich. They'll race off against Raiden Racing, who were runners-up yesterday, and they were runners-up to Rotorama, who will be in our third quarterfinal against the young team Wild Prop, and then the American team Quad Force One. Better performance from them in qualifying. They'll race off against China Dragons. So let's get this started, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I'm sure you're very excited to see some professional drone racing. We will go at 140 kilometers an hour around, over, and maybe into this lake in Munich. And it'll start with the world champions. To the stage here in Munich, please put your hands together and welcome the world champions, Next Blades Racing! And their opponents are these Swiss hopefuls. Please welcome the Swiss Black Kites. And you're going to see a lot of this today. You're going to see a lot of high fives. You're going to see a lot of handshakes. 8 teams with huge respect for each other. Amazing pilots, many of whom were with us last year as we went around the world with the DCL 2017 season. There's a huddle on stage. That's a Swiss Black Kites thing. More of that, I reckon. So we get into it then, ladies and gentlemen. Our first quarterfinal of the day will be between Next Blades Racing, the British team and world champions, against the Swiss Black Kites. And after qualifying today, well, it's changed things around a bit, hasn't it, Martin?
They certainly have. They certainly have, yeah. We see Brad Collis. I'm sure he will try to avenge himself, or revenge himself, rather, from his 2 crashes and collisions yesterday during the races. He's coming in hot. Taking home the fastest qualifier time out of all pilots.
Yeah, Brett was 3rd in qualifying yesterday, and that wasn't good enough for him. He decided he'd be 1st today. As we mentioned, 3rd, 5th, and 6th behind them. We add together the 3 best laps of each team in each pilot, I beg your pardon, in qualifying, and that's how we get a team. We get to it. It is 1st seed against 8th seed. Next Blades against Swiss Black Kites, and on the starting blocks, Young Rock Sun in the blue drone for Next Blades Racing against Michael Isler, who is up slowly and a long way behind him in purple. But our first race of the day is looking like an immediate disqualification for Michael Isler. We'll have that investigated and get to you. But let's follow Young Rock Sun as he shows us our way around our course here in Munich. If you didn't experience any of the racing yesterday, it is a complicated and fast circuit. Isler's still racing him. Isler is bringing it home. Yep, that is a disqualification. We'll find out why. And that is the first look today at the crash gate, which is our finish line. And we expect 3 laps before we get to that. Normally, Martijn, but Isler seemed to have a problem right from the start.
It seems so. From what I've seen, it was a jump start.
Yeah.
So that's an early start for Michael Isler.
Yeah.
Very unfortunate. Yeah.
So the first heat point of the day will go to Young Rock Sun and Next Blades Racing after Michael Isler jumped the start. We have we have traffic lights in front of the video picture of all drones so they can see that. We've obviously got the countdown of beeps as well, which gives them 10 seconds notice, and then 3, 2, 1. And to be honest, the way Young Rock Sun went off ahead of him, I'm surprised Michael Isler had a full start. Here it goes, look at the bottom right of your picture. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe nerves at the start of the day.
Could be, yeah.
So, first heat point, but there's a long day ahead of us.
You're right.
Young Rock Sun takes that one. I just think the way Young Rock Sun was leaving Michael Isler behind, that was really fast. If Isler had got a full start, then Young Rock Sun got a really good one straight behind him.
Yeah, what could have happened is that he just lifted off the starting grid, and I saw him go up before he went forward. Maybe he noticed that he took off too early and paused a little bit.
On your screen there's Heiko Schenk. He's next for Next Blades Racing. And he's up against Dario Neuenschwander, FP Vader for the Swiss Black Kites.
Heiko Schenk's drone yesterday got so hot that the solder started to melt. And that caused a crash mid-air, yes.
That's unusual, to say the least.
It is unusual, but he has a very unusual drone.
Yes, he does. We may or may not explain more about that later on. As technical changes are allowed, we have these parameters here in the DCL between 780 grams and a kilogram, a certain minimum size that it has to be for safety reasons. You have to obviously use certain components to be compatible with our video system here so that we can live stream the video around the course so that the pilots can fly it with FPV goggles on. But there's plenty of freedom in design, and these pilots love to get hands-on and make changes and test things out. Heiko Schenk's pioneering new drone isn't working there.
No, it isn't. No. The staff is trying to figure things out.
You can see our starting blocks there with our runners who wave things in front of the camera to let the pilots know when it's their turn to spin them up. And Heiko Schenk's drone is refusing to play.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. His mom is here, actually.
Mrs. Schenk?
Yes, Mrs. Schenk is here, somewhere in the audience.
Ah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's you, Joaquin. We have one of the team owners from last year waving. I don't think it's you. Mrs. Schenk, if you're in sight, let us know where you are. We'll find out some gossip about Heiko. Here we go then, next race of the day. Okay, Schenk's drone isn't going to take off, which means Dario Neuenschwander gets this one to himself. So this is Neuenschwander showing us a way around this course. But with Schenk unable to start, this is clearly going to be a point straight to the Swiss Black Kites. But take a look at this course if you're new with us today. That is a split S over the bridge. Wave at everybody and then come underneath them. Through our chicane over the water. One lap is all he gets. He could have gone round for a second or third to get a bit more stick time. But that's just a little test lap. And we have finisher points this year. Complete a lap and complete a race. You get finisher points for it. And then when we have a dead heat between teams after heats of racing, we use the finisher points to settle it. So it's worth getting that lap in, worth getting that point just in the back pocket should you need it later.
Definitely, yeah. Valuable points. Whenever there's a draw, they're going to look at team points. Yeah, that can be of a lot of importance later on in the competition. 2
points been allocated, 1 to each team so far. Let's get a proper race on our stage. Let's get a proper race over this lake. I want to see 3 laps of racing action, and I know you do too. It is Gary Kent stepping up next for Next Blades Racing. He's goggled up on stage, and that man is Raphael Strahl for Swiss Black Kites. Pilot who managed to win a few single heats when he was with us last year when he was racing with FPV Racing. Fastest in the Swiss Nationals. He helped FPV Racing be the runner-up team in 3 of our locations during the 2017 season. Gary Kent, we know well from 8 wins that he got last year as Justice FPV. He's first in the French Drone Nationals, first in the Multi-GP Open International. in USA. A very highly respected pilot. And if we get 2 drones up in the air from both of them.
Yeah, he's flying a lot faster than yesterday. Yesterday's qualifying time was 16th. Today he took home 3rd place in qualifying. Quite impressive.
Yeah, really, really good to see that from him. So, Gary Kent in blue for Next Blades Racing and Swiss Black Kites in purple. As you can see, those are our starting blocks. When we've done qualifying and each pilot has a position for his team, we put the slowest pilots in qualifying at the front of our starting blocks on the ones nearest the camera, and the fastest pilots in qualifying at the back.
Ah, this is where
and
we
yeah,
see
if you've got your goggles, you can pick up some of the video signals here, Martin.
Exactly. Yeah. We're using open frequencies, so anyone with a goggle or a screen can, catch it. I think we're having some final preparations with the track. 10 seconds countdown. Here we go.
Gary Kent and Raphael Strahl. And both drones up in the air with Strahl having the faster, higher launch. Gary Kent takes the speed forward, though, and he takes the lead into our triplet of gates. Through the Breitling gate with Kent still in the lead, and Strahl follows him into a split S. Quick flip from Strahl over the top, and half a second separates them between them. Kent with the lead in the chicane over the river, and Strahl right behind him as they complete 1 lap. And Strahl is almost underneath Kent, coming into the first gate of lap 2. Kent with the still in the lead. Been there the whole time so far. Strahl's view now. We're on board with him over the bridge. Split S and underneath. Hello, everybody on the bridge. Hope you're having fun. Half a second still between Kent and Strahl is down. And Kent completes lap number 2. Strahl is in the water. Kent's going to get that 3rd lap in. Completes the triplet over the bridge. You go left around that pylon. You go quick right around this one. Left around that. Very sharp left here in the furthest part of the lake. Around the left-hand side of that final pylon. Left there again. Through that gate, and then this beautiful big left-hand turn. Put it in there, Gary. Thank you. 1 point to Next Blades Racing.
Well done. Nice race, guys. You saw Gary Kent a little bit smoother in all the corners, gaining distance, and Strahl trying to catch up. This is where we have Strahl ending up a little high in this corner. And you can see Kent buzzing forward. Nice racing.
Where does Strahl and why does Strahl go down?
He did make it over the bridge, but underneath it, trying to catch Kent, unfortunately he hit the water.
So that's a point in the bag for Gary Kent, and we will now see the 4th pilot for each team, the fastest in qualifying for each team. Brett Collis for Next Blades Racing. 8 wins in single heats last year. 5 further wins in big heats made him the DCL Pilot of the Year in points scored. And his opponent is that man, Mirko Cesena, a young 20-year-old pilot from Italy racing with the Swiss Black Kites. He can win a few races in single heats. He was doing them for Gemfan last year. And in one of their races last year, Cesena faced off against Brett Collis and beat him. So, a little bit of history from 2017. We go 2-1 into this race. And remember, after this will be our first big heat of the day. Loads of points up for grabs. So if Swiss Black Kites lose this and they're 3-1 down, they can still turn it around in the big heat. But here we go. Between Collis and Cesena. Collis is away, screaming away. That joint is sounding loud and sharp. Cesena is still on the starting blocks. Collis is off, split S-ing the bridge, coming underneath it. I'll show you those pylons. Left around that one, right around here. Left, left. You go on the left-hand side, turn right, behind the stage. Sharp left to complete the first lap. Cesena just watches him from the starting blocks. Collis has been given permission to call that one done. In you go. Collis gets 1 lap's practice in. Cesena is still sat there. Now we have a whole procedure here of drones being prepared, checked in when the pilots come to the course.
This is where Brett is entering the crash gate, right behind the trees. So after the last gate, which is also the gate which has the timing system, when they completed 3 laps, they turn around, hit the crash gate, and whoever makes it there first wins.
Sorry, it must be so frustrating when everything is ready and then you are ready for the final, your run, and it just doesn't go.
Yeah, oh man, that's super unfortunate. I think most pilots have been there. We really push the technology of these drones to the very edge, and whenever you do that with tech, things can go wrong. And yeah, to be able not to fly, that's got to be hard on Cessna.
So now it is big heat time, our first one of the day. All 8 drones in the air. You've never seen anything like it. Well, unless you've watched DCL before. 8 drones in the air, 4 blue ones for Next Blades Racing. Meanwhile, there's pilots from Rotorama, our champions of yesterday. That's up in our pit area. You're welcome to explore that if you're here with us in Munich. Happy faces of a team who are currently in the lead for this year's World Championship after 1 race. One Drone Prix of racing, I should say. They'll be up later on today. So more drones to the starting blocks. I think Susanna's probably had his one switched out for one of the other ones he's got with him. So 3-1 in points to Next Blades Racing. Means that Swiss Black Kites need to get first and second. That'll score them 2 heat points. That'll make it 3 all. But ideally, they're going to get first, second, and third and wrap this thing up. In finisher points, it's 9-4. Next Blades Racing with the advantage. So, if this gets 2 points for Swiss Black Kites, 3 all in heat points means we'll look at finisher points. That's in the favor of Next Blades. So Swiss Black Kites need to get this thing done on course now.
Mirko Cesena, although he's only 20 years old, he might be the most experienced pilot we have here. Because before he was flying FPV drones, as you're looking at right now, he has a long history of piloting RC helicopters. He's done that for over 10 years, actually.
Yeah, started at a really young age, as are some of our drone pilots here. You'll meet them soon. But yeah, we'll be having a demonstration from Mirko Cesena later on about his RC helicopter flying. You've never seen a show like it, so make sure you check that. And if you saw a bit of it yesterday, we've got the full-length, unedited, uncensored version.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
There's no censoring. There's no need for censoring. But it is an amazing show. I've got a master's degree in aeronautical engineering. The hardest thing in my degree was the whole area we did on helicopters, and I am going to go back to my university and tell them that they lied. Because Mirko Cesena can do things with a helicopter that are completely impossible.
Yes, you're right.
Big heat is upon us. Get ready to give them your support, everybody. The blue drones are Next Blades Racing. We need 3 purple drones at the front if Swiss Black Kites want to make the semi-final. They're all up. They're all away, except for Cesena, who is on the starting blocks again. 2 of the blue Next Blades Drones Racing are in the lead. Collis and Schenk now find Strahl possibly ahead of them. There you go. Collis is up. Kent half a second behind him. Strahl and Isler making an impact. Neuenschwander is in trouble. And Cesena, I don't think, is in this at all, which means Next Blades Racing have got this one in the bag. We have a drone in the netting. It's purple. And that is another problem for Swiss Black Kites. Brett Collis, meanwhile, showing Gary Kent the way around. In Munich, Raphael Strahl wants to mix it up with them. Get a point, get a win on the board, at least for himself, as we look through the rest of the season. Strahl has overshot the end of the second lap into the netting and is done here. Collis, Kent, Schenk, and Young Roxanne for Next Blades Racing have this all to themselves in a little bit of a show race from the world champions. 4 drones all getting to the end. Let's find out. Brett Collis is home. Schenk is home. 3 are in. Ladies and gentlemen, Next Blades Racing, your world champions from last year, go to the semi-finals with a very comprehensive 7-1 win over the Swiss Black Kites. That was some spectacular flying in that. Good to see so many drones in the air. There's the triplet, and look at that, 1, 2, 3, 4 blue drones, purple ones not making the impact they wanted today.
No. It's unfortunate for the Swiss Black Guides, but well done to the reigning champions. There were some technical issues. I'm sure they're going to have to sort them out.
But there it is. Heiko Schenk being given the win there of a young rock son with Gary Kent and Brett Collis. Right behind. Oh, Collis didn't quite make it to the end. Well, I don't know what went wrong on his final turn. He had all the rest of it done.
Yeah, I believe he clipped the very last gate.
Here with the Drone Champions League at the Munich Olympic Park and our second day of racing, seeing the Next Blades racing team, the world champions of DCL 2017, stride forward after being best in qualifying, easily the best in that quarterfinal, off to the semi-finals. We'll see them again later.
Definitely, they're killing it today. In qualifying, taking home the best seats in the house, I would say. Taking home first place, third place, sixth and fifth. So Next Blades Racing 7-1 over Swiss Black Kites here at DCL's second race of the season, the second race of the weekend here in Munich. That means Next Blades Racing are through to our semi-final. Next up, we have your team Munich, the local team of Air Carvers Germany against Raiden Racing. I'm getting a lot of you in Germany right here now. That's okay, I just want to keep always smiling, always excited, always ready to bring us great action. They are Air Carvers Germany. Some real superstars on this team, really good personalities, as I mentioned, between them as well. And against them, a team who made a massive impact in their first race of the season yesterday. The first race ever with DCL. We are thrilled to have them with us. Please welcome from Japan, Raiden Racing. And who is smiling on stage and standing up to fist bump all of them? Lucas Wahl and the Air Carvers Germany, of course. Always smiling.
Always happy. We have a lot of support for the German team here in Munich and around the world, of course. Here's someone who couldn't join us today, but wanted to send his best wishes to your German hopefuls.
So, ich bin schon brutal gespannt. Gleich geht's los und ich drücke ganz, ganz fest in Air Carvers Germany die Daumen. Macht's es gut und gibt's Gas. Ciao.
Felix Neureuther there, sending his words of support to the Air Carvers Germany. They're going to need it. They are good pilots, but yesterday was disappointing for them. They went down 3-2 to Rotorama, but Rotorama went off and won this thing. So if you're going to lose, losing to a team who eventually are the winners, that's okay. Let's do this then, ladies and gentlemen. Air Carvers Germany, here in Munich, are in green. Raiden Racing are in yellow, and it is Lucas Wahl against the incredible superstar Len Kong in yellow. And Len Kong, as we saw him all day yesterday, in front. Lucas Wahl getting into trouble with the triplet. He's recovered it on the first gate. Breitling gate, he's through there. DCL, he's through there. But Len Kong under the bridge, already in a long way out in front. As you see on your screen, Wahl will get reviewed. That UR means under review for a wrong flight. Meaning our spotters will check. They flagged up that he may have missed the first gate, I think, of the triplet. So they will flag up and check after this race whether Lucas Wahl completed the whole course. Meanwhile, Wahl needs to get this thing done. He's 3.5 seconds behind Len Kong, who's starting his third lap now through the DCL gate. Tight little tip over the water. Hard right here into the triplet. Hard left 180 to the Breitling gate. Exit through this DCL. There's the split S over the bridge. Out underneath it. Len Kong can do this and win this all day long. He goes right round the chicane. Left on the furthest point of the lake. Left to that Poland, hard left here, goes through that DCL gate, and we'll see him do what we saw again and again and again and again and again yesterday. Another win for Len Kong, another win for Raiden Racing. Ladies and gentlemen, He is 14 years old. He won 5 out of 6 races yesterday.
Absolutely amazing. Lenkong coming in all the way from Indonesia, Jakarta. Proud to represent and fly with the Japanese champions.
And absolutely brilliant performance from him yesterday. Won his single heat in the quarterfinal, won the big heat for his team. Won the single heat in the semi-final, won the big heat for his team. Won his single heat in the grand final, nearly won the big heat for them. And he had to do reruns after there was a problem with another racer and they had to rerun the race again. So he won that as well. Absolutely unstoppable. We'll talk more about him throughout the rest of the day, I'm sure. Meanwhile, we go to our next single heat here, which is between Maita Maibaum of Aircarvers Germany and Takuma Suzuki of Raiden Racing. That is a dead hard start between them. Look at that. Only 1/10 of a second between them. Raiden Racing Suzuki in the yellow drone is chasing down Aircarvers Germany Maibaum, who has gone under the bridge half a second ahead of him. But now vertically it looks very little to separate them through the chicane coming around to the end of the first lap. Maibaum with the lead and Suzuki catching him fast. Suzuki now only 0.05 of a second behind him through the Breitling gate with him right just so touchingly close in front of him. Now it's opened up to 3/5 of a second. Maibaum in green still with the lead over Suzuki. Suzuki just 13, 1 year less than the amazing Lenkong we just saw. But hard for Suzuki into the DCL gate at the start of third lap. Maibaum has the rest of it to himself over the river, lake, danger pond. Maibaum brings it home. That'll be a point on the board for the Aircarvers Germany after Suzuki crashed it hard at the start of third lap.
That was a great race. Malte Maibaum, new to the DCL. He wasn't here with us last year, but he's proven to be a force to be reckoned with. And I'm also impressed with his flying style because he's making quite long looping corners, but that allows him to really keep the momentum going, and it pays off. Very, very well flown.
Suzuki there, as I mentioned, he's just 13, incredible pilot from the Japanese team. I expect we'll see more of him. Well, we'll definitely see him in at least a big heat later. We go with Sebastian Brandes for the Aircarvers Germany up against Junichi Goto of Japan, the experienced in years pilot of the team. First in the Japanese Drone League, he knows what he's doing. It's Brandes in the lead over Goto. Goto cuts in on him on the triplet. Looked like he'd take the first gate first, but Brandes carried speed in his turn. Took the triplet in the lead. Now Goto with him under the bridge and in the lead coming out of it. Brandes has gone high. Goto is keeping it low over the water and fast. They come round at the end of the first lap, absolutely neck and neck. Goto with a better turn into the triplet again. Brandes with the higher, sometimes faster, but down on the floor he goes. That route's a bit high, a bit low at times. Goto with definitely the smoother flight of things. Brandes is down just before the bridge. Goto completes lap 2. He'll swing it through here. Our head Chief Judge Lucas tells him, that completes your run. You don't need to do the third lap. That's a point on the board. For Raiden Racing, they were in the semi-finals yesterday. They made it to the grand finals. They didn't win it there, and they want to try and do it today, and there's a chance to get them there again, thanks to Goto.
This is where we see Goto on the inside, and Brandes coming out a little bit high out of the Breitling gate and hitting the top of the DCL gate there. I think right before that, they had a small mid-air collision, actually, and that's what put him off a little bit. Yeah, but the race was absolutely beautiful. Neck and neck, fighting for first place. That's what happens.
I have to say, I think Brandes was more varied in his height throughout that thing. Seemed to be going high at times, low at times. Some pilots doing that intentionally, but he seemed to vary it a lot more, whereas Goto overall was a lot smoother.
Yes. Well, the thing that happens if you're focused on the racing lines and all of a sudden you see another quad popping up in front of you, it's stressful.
Angelo Feschler makes his appearance today with the green for Aircarvers Germany, and he is up against Kazumi Osama of Raiden Racing in Japan in yellow. And Osama with the slower start off the blocks, but leaving him behind into the triplet. Feschler with some work to do here as Sami is thinking, well, I'm just going to say goodbye and leave you there now. However, Asami in all sorts of trouble in the middle of the triplet, leaves Fechler, leaving him behind, 1.5 seconds between them. Fechler in the lead over the water around the ends, behind our stage and onto his second lap. Asami just completing that first lap now. That time is extended by almost a whole second. 2.2 is a lot for Asami to do, and he's down, nearly down. He's recovered it, he clipped the gate, spun it, looked like he'd lost it completely. Kept it in the air, and Asami still in the fight, but 3.83 seconds is a huge thing to catch up. There's a finisher point available for Asami if he gets to the end. Something to take away from this, but what he wants is the heat point to beat Fechler for it. Looking unlikely now in the middle of our third lap. Fechler around over the water, and Asami in trouble, and Asami is still in it. He's clipped something, and I think he is finally now, after having a few problems on our course and managing to keep that drone in the air. Asami is done. Fechler is home.
Well done. Well done. Angelo actually was the slowest pilot in yesterday's qualifying, but took home the first position of the team.
That's the recovery,
today.
I think, if you watch there. That was the recovery which spun it wildly, but he managed to keep it in the air on that first lap. Ooh, and the water loomed. He is down, though. He's down on the other side of the bridge. We have runners who are absolutely fantastic all over this course, recovering drones and bits of drones when there are bits. And the runners earning their plaudits and their names today, because somebody had a long way to go to get that one.
Actually, Asami has cat-like reflexes.
Look at this, all tied up going into our big heat. 2-2 in heat points, 9 all in finisher points. Remember, if it is a dead heat out of a big heat, then we go to finisher points to settle it. But 2 all means the big heat wraps this thing. Whoever gets this, you don't need your teammates to come in second and third. Whoever wins the big heat takes your team to the semi-finals. There are the green team of Air Carvers Germany. Give them your support here in Munich. They will hear you if you're behind them, and if you're loud enough, I'm sure you can be, Munich. So make sure you cheer for the Air Carvers Germany as we bring drones, change out crashed ones for new ones on our starting blocks. I see we've got some young members of our audience in awesome Air Carvers Germany green hats over here. I'm loving your green hats, boys. Make sure you cheer on the German team. Yeah, we have young drone racing fans in our audience. Look at you. Thank you so much for joining us here at Munich MASH. We are absolutely thrilled to start the 2018 racing season with you here. In just under 2 weeks' time, we go to Madrid for the next stop at the DCL World Tour. That's on the 5th and 6th of July if you are local or if you fancy the trip. Madrid, the 5th and 6th of July, we'll see the next 2 races for DCL in 2018. But we've got many more races ahead of us yet. 8 drones on the blocks for the big heat. Winner takes all. Winner takes your team to the semi-final. That's a gate that looms ahead of them. That's the first gate on our course. It died yesterday, Martin.
It did.
We wrecked that gate yesterday
and I saw
had
it
to
go down
rebuild
just
it.
now. But they managed to revive it.
It's taken a few hits. It is the first one that you come to. I don't think many pilots have hit it out of the starting blocks, but on later laps, it's taken a bit of a battering, that one.
This is going to be a tight race. We have Angelo and Asami only 3/10 of a second apart.
They're at the back of the blocks, fastest pilots in each team at the back of the blocks. Slowest pilot in each team are at the front. But Lenkong, slowest in qualifying out of his team, but ripped this thing up yesterday. Green and yellow mid-air impact, that's our first one of the day. 1 down from each drone, but it is 2 Air Carvers Germany in the lead, and they are Val and Maibaum. And then Asami, Goto and Suzuki are all in the air behind them. Brandes is out, Fechler is out. Val and Maibaum with some pressure on them as the Japanese team go by. Goto and Suzuki start the second lap where they want to be. Out in front, and their superstar pilot Lenkong, who got so many points from yesterday, is done long time ago. He's not going to be the one who takes them through. Asami and Goto and Suzuki now fighting it out between them as to which one's going to get the win. Maibaum, though, is right back in the thick of this. Charging into the triplet into second place now. He needs to go up one further than that. He's very high over the split S. He comes out with a lot of speed. This is absolutely brilliant racing. Asama, Goto and Suzuki have Maibon mixing things up, and the experienced Lucas Wahl is not in the picture yet. Oh! Into the finish. The best race of the weekend so far, ladies and gentlemen. Hands on heads, Lucas Wahl decides he actually wants to finish. He's coming around now. Wahl might make it home, put it in the crash gate. He's still in the air, there it goes. Wahl brings it in, and we await confirmation of our semi-finalists between Air Carvers Germany and Raiden Racing.
I think that's the best race we had today. Here we see Malte Maiboom unfortunately hitting the bottom.
Watch this, there's Maiboom so near to the semi-finals, but the bottom of the gate won't do it. You've got to go in, you have to cross the finishing line. And Maiboom hitting the bottom of the gate, that's not a finish. That team were in the semi-finals, but Junichi Goto takes Raiden Racing to the semi-finals. Commiserations to Air Carvers Germany. That has to hurt. Congratulations to Raiden Racing. 3 points in that quarterfinal. They only needed 1. Smiles on their faces. They're in the semi-finals. Raiden Racing, runners-up after yesterday's Grand Prix here in Munich. Want to win it today? They're through to the semi-finals with that win over the local team, Air Carvers Germany, after the most amazing big heat I can remember in the Drone Champions League. Our next quarterfinal is already upon us. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls here in Munich, put your hands together. Welcome the champions of our racing yesterday. 3rd place in the DCL season last year. They are Rotorama. And now, we have the great pleasure to welcome, and not only because they're using my favorite song as entrance music, this is one of my warm-up tunes. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. Boys and girls, you put your hands together. They are Wild Prop. For Rotorama, our Czech team, we have Jakub Toman, David Svoboda, Jan Votava, and Lukas Lenversky. But flossing it out on the stage, showing you how to have fun, but absolutely deadly pilots. The young Wild Prop team, 10-year-old Adam Blackburn, best in qualifying yesterday. A superstar pilot, wrecks every course we give him by winning them. Ashton Gamble is 12 years old from the USA. Alex Zamora is 12 years old from Spain, and young Wanraya Wanapong is 11 years old and all the way from Thailand. As a team, they were 2nd in qualifying yesterday. They are not here as any kind of, oh, let's have some children on our stage to make this a kind of fun family show. They are awesome pilots and capable of winning every race we throw at them, and they are a threat to a team who won this thing yesterday.
They definitely are. Like you mentioned, Adam Blackburn, 1st in qualifying yesterday. Super, super impressive.
Not so good today. Let's give him his dues. He was amazing yesterday. Not so good in qualifying today.
Right, you're right. Yeah, today he was 25th. He decided to take it slow. Take some time to get to know the track a little bit better. But then again, they do have Ashton Gamble taking home 2nd place today.
Yeah, so one of their pilots not so good in qualifying times this morning, but Ashton Gamble making up for it instead. Our first heat features young, as they all are, Wanraya Wanapong from Thailand for Wild Prop with the white drone against David Svoboda from the Czech Republic, 17 years of age, in the red Rotorama drone, and some way behind Wanapong there, who is already being flagged up for disqualification. That may be an early start. We will find out, but let's play this race out just in case it gets overturned. David Svoboda's red Rotorama drone is some way behind as Wanapong is already on the second lap. Svoboda's with her. Wanapong going into the second gate, the Breitling gate of our triplet, and out and over the bridge. Very high, both pilots. Unusually high, but carrying a lot of speed, then down towards the water, which is a difficult thing to recover from. Both pilots doing very well. Wanraya Wanapong with the lead. Going on to the third lap, David Svoboda. Terrific pilot who gave us great excitement last year, won 2 single heats in the few appearances he made in 2017. He has got some work to do to catch Wanraya Wanapong here, who is just about to complete her third lap behind the stage. Goes through the DCL gate, puts the final turn in. Svoboda's only just completing his third lap. Wanapong brings it home first. Svoboda just about bringing it home.
Beautiful racing. This is where we see the start.
We need to review it to see if it's an early start. There's a green light on.
Yeah.
Did Wanapong jump the start? Our brilliant team of spotters, reviewers led by Lucas, have investigated. It is, sad to say, an early start for Wanraya Wanapong, meaning the point, I think, is confirmed for Rotorama. We will double check that with our chief judge, Lucas Baumann, and his team. That confirmation. We move on to our second single heat. Yeah, Rotorama take the first points after an early start. So Svoboda, having progressed further around the course, gets that. We go to our second single heat. Jan Votava, Honza, 21-year-old Czech pilot, third in the Drone Fest. He is here. And he lines up in our second single heat against 10-year-old British pilot, Adam Blackburn. Jan Votava, 3 wins to his name yesterday. 3 wins for the season already as Rotorama made their way through the quarters, semis, and eventually won our grand final. Adam Blackburn, a real threat, but he's going to have to show us the best he's got today against Jan Votava, who's got the better start out of the blocks. But Blackburn with him, past him, and into the triplet next to him. They are fighting back and forth already, and this single heat of the quarterfinal has only just begun. Blackburn opening up a bit of a lead now, 0.8 of a second over Jan Votava. He showed us this yesterday. It doesn't really matter what kind of a start he's got once he's in the air. He is super quick. Votava just about hanging with him, but not closing the gap significantly enough. Over to the split S with Blackburn exiting as Votava enters it half a second further now. In the lead is Blackburn over the lake. Behind the stage, that pylon gave him trouble yesterday. Votava is done. Blackburn is still going through his third lap. Votava is already out of this. Blackburn will take the point for the Wild Prop team, showing us how it's done. 50.06 seconds as he exits the split S. Comes around the chicane over the water. No problems on these 3 for him. Great finishing turn, finishing his third lap. Around the tree and into the DCL crash gate goes 10-year-old superstar Blackburn to great applause here in Munich. Votava got into trouble somewhere around lap 2.
Yes, he did. Yeah, trying to catch Blackburn. Oh man, this kid can fly. I retired just in time, I think. There's a whole new generation standing up.
Yeah, great work from Adam Blackburn again. We saw that from him yesterday. We saw a slower start and then the time just dissolved as he catches his opponent and leaves him away. That final part of the lap caught him out a little bit yesterday. He had to go back and do it again. It's all right if you miss a gate or a turn so long as you go back and complete it. Adam did that, was 2.5 seconds behind his opponent at one point, closed it.
Yeah, he did.
So there's Adam with a point for his teammates. Here's one of them now, Alex Zamora, brilliant 12-year-old pilot from Spain, up against Jakob Thoman, who racked up a number of wins yesterday for Rotorama. Side by side, out of the block, Zamora, though, into the lead, into the first gate. That turn into the triplet often changes things. They are with each other. They are down. No, Rotorama are down. Thoman is down. Zamora is still in the air. Jakob Thoman from Rotorama got into trouble around the Breitling gate, the middle of our triplets. You do the hard right 180 and then a hard left 180. He's finished. Zamora is finished now. Wild Props take a 2-1 lead over the team who won this yesterday.
Well done. Unfortunate crashes by Rotorama, who I know as a very consistent team. In yesterday's big heat, all of their pilots finished. And this is where we're going to see the crash from Thoman. Yes, clipping the gate on the outside, taking the corner a little bit wide there. With Zamora taking home the victory.
Yeah, great support here in Munich for these pilots. Great support online as well, on YouTube and Facebook, where we're live streaming. I can see a lot of love for the Wild Prop team coming in on Facebook. 2-1 lead over Rotorama. Now the fastest pilot today in qualifying for each team. That man is Lukas Lenversky, new to the DCL, 27-year-old from the Czech Republic, and his opponent is Ashton Gamble, 12-year-old pilot from the USA, second out of all 32 pilots in qualifying today. What have they got? Here we go. Very fast start from both of them. Into the first gate together, down together. That cameraman is still alive, but some of his life may have flashed before his eyes. He is protected, don't worry, there is netting. But he's going to need it if drones come at him like that. There is Lukas Lenversky's Rotorama drone is down.
So what happens here is if both pilots crash at the same point, they're going to measure who landed the furthest. So who took the track the longest way.
There it is, here it comes in slow motion. Down and down. Yeah, so as Martin, you were saying, we have a racing line. That's what's marked out on the course with the lights, and we measure it to see who went furthest. Let's go for the first time today to our chief judge on stage, Lucas Baumann, who'll give us the official reading. Okay, we are indeed going to need to check this with measurement. It's not clear without the accurate measuring going on. So we measure it to the racing line and see who got furthest.
From my perspective, it should be the white drone. So it should be Wild Prop. But who knows?
Who knows? And we get comments on this, I know, from people saying, is it fair that when there's a mid-air collision, whoever goes furthest in front is the one who got it? Quite often, the pilot behind, obviously not intentionally, has caused the crash, and they transfer some kinetic energy to the drone in front. Quite often the one that lands furthest forward is because the drone who was behind has hit them and caused them to go forward. But obviously it is a really difficult situation. Nobody really wants them mid-air unless you're watching drone racing.
Yeah,
it's an exciting thing to see.
At these speeds, with drones racing at 130, 140 kilometers an hour, it's almost impossible to prevent collisions.
So confirmed, ladies and gentlemen, that the team who take the point in that single heat are the white drones of the young team Wild Prop. They get the point there. Lukas Lenversky deemed to have made it further along the course than... Sorry, Lukas Lenversky for Rotorama. It is Ashton Gamble who gets the point for Wild Prop. So a point for Wild Prop there, and Ashton Gamble will be pleased to take that, but he'll be disappointed he didn't get more racing in.
10 seconds countdown.
10 seconds to our big heat. All 8 drones and Rotorama, if they want to repeat what they did yesterday and win in Munich, They need to beat World Prop and they need to beat them big in the big heat. Two great starts for the World Prop white drones, two slower ones and a tree getting shredded by everybody. Up front, Ashton Gamble showing us what he can do, but three Rotorama drones are right with him. 0.3 of a second, and Toman not far behind that. Ashton Gamble in the lead out over the water. Zamora is down. Wanraya Wanapong is in this if World Prop need her. Ashton Gamble at the front. Jakob Toman only 1/100th of a second behind him. Toman and Svoboda chasing down Gamble. Adam Blackburn showing us what he can do. Passes both of them and makes it up in a second place. Ashton Gamble currently in the lead while Adam Blackburn is not far away from him. And 1, 2, 3 Rotorama drones fighting it out, trying to close the gap. They need it, and they need it now in numbers as we go on to the third lap. Blackburn's now taken Gamble 0.8 of a second in front of him. Vatava's going to get reviewed in his haste to close his gap as to whether or not he's done it. But it may be completely immaterial as Adam Blackburn gets the win. Ashton Gamble comes in second. And World Prop moves to the semi-finals.
Super impressive flying by these kids. Really well done. We had Ashton Gamble leading the way. Actually, two red drones by Rotorama chasing them around. But both of those red drones were overtaken later on by Adam Blackburn. Super impressive, super impressive.
Huge smiles on our stage from, they won't mind me saying, some of our smallest competitors. Adam Blackburn looking so pleased with himself. Big smile from this man. Hello, Adam, you want to say something? Tell me, Adam, what happened? Tell me. Adam, hold on a second. I will get you in on this. Let's give this young superstar a microphone. Let's talk to him. We've got Ashton Gamble to say a few words on our stage, but first, let's repeat what happened. Look at the celebrations here. Alex Zamora can't stay in his chair, and rightly so. Final result there. Adam Blackburn got the win with over a second between him and Svoboda and Toman, who did hold it on, took Gamble as they were going around towards the finish. Maybe Gamble held back a little bit. World Prop will be going to our semi-finals. Let's talk to Ashton Gamble from the United States, who's joining us live on stage in front of this amazing audience here in Munich. Ashton, congratulations. You were brilliant in the quarterfinal yesterday, but you didn't make it to the semi-finals. You must be so pleased to be going to the semi-finals now. And your young teammates all around you celebrating there. It's good to see how much this means to you, but you're here as professionals looking to win this. You really want to win this thing, don't you?
Yeah, we really want us and Next Blades to win because we are the kids, and the kids need to make a big point in drone racing.
Yeah, a big part in drone racing, absolutely right. So what do you want to say to everybody here in Munich who's cheering you on?
Go Wild Props!
Thank you very much, Ashton. We will see you and your team in the semi-finals.
Thank you.
Congratulations to all of them. Commiserations must be said to Rotorama, who won the whole day and night yesterday here in Munich. Rotorama out for today. Our fourth quarterfinal looms. It's good, this drone racing, isn't it, Munich? Here comes some more. Welcome to the stage, representing the US of A. We bring you Quad Force 1. And their opponents. All the way from China, please welcome China Dragons. Now this is going to be very interesting indeed.
It will. I mean, we got Evan Turner, only 15 years old. He owns over 20 quads and super fast.
Daddy Turner is kind with his pocket money.
Yeah,
Evan Turner earns it though, winning races. Yeah, 15-year-old from the US. He was 5th in qualifying times overall yesterday, 4th today. One of the pilots who's done better. One of the pilots at the top of our leaderboard from yesterday who's done even better today. Expecting great things from Evan Turner. And his teammates want to make more of an appearance today as well. They went out in the quarterfinals yesterday. I know they were disappointed by that.
Yeah, a lot of problems on their behalf. So, like I mentioned earlier, they lost 5 quads at the airport. Landed 3 in the water yesterday. Actually, they landed a couple of quads from some other pilots here to fly with today.
They're flying with, they've been lent some quads today.
Yes.
That's an example of what I always talk about with DCL, how good these teams all are to each other. Let's get into a quarterfinal then between Quad Force 1 and the China Dragons. It is Cooper Groves against Bo Chen. Cooper Groves in blue for the USA, Bo Chen in orange for the China Dragons. And Cooper Groves with a better start and a lead which seems to be gently extending now through the triplet. Both pilots still up and still in this. Cooper Groves, 12.82 coming under the bridge. Chen nearly 2 seconds behind him. Groves out over the water. He made an appearance with Immersion RC yesterday. He's making an appearance here, but more of an appearance is Bo Chen, who is in front of him. Closed the first lap and roared past him into the triplet. There's Groves with a view of Chen very, very close in front of him. Chen now nearly half a second away. Groves can pull this around, but if Chen ends the second lap and starts the third one, like we just saw, then Chen is away and gone. Groves now still half a second. He's hanging on his tail into the triplet. Chen in the lead. Groves now getting with him and takes the lead back from him. 1 second changed it around, a huge change in circumstances. Chen in trouble in the middle of that third lap, but in the lead at the end of it. Groves now's going to take him on the final turn, and he's all here into the crash gate.
Oh, photo finish.
300ths of a second between them. The closest finish, I think, in DCL history, certainly this weekend in Munich. 1.0976 for one of the pilots, 1.0979 for the other. We will get that final finish double checked.
Yeah, this is where Cooper went a little wide over the water.
There's a lot of celebration from the American team and the Blue Drones. Cooper Groves, they think has got it. It's under investigation to make double sure because timekeeping think it might be the China Dragons. It's not all settled yet. We may go to our next single heat before we get absolutely confirmation on that.
It was too close to tell by
it's
by
300ths in it, but which way round? We're going to get that absolutely sorted out. I think that is the closest finish in DCL history.
Could it be a draw? Couldn't, right?
Well, we're measuring it to fractions of a second. I don't think it can be a draw. One day, maybe there'll be such a thing, but with pitch of drones and so on, it's not just, you know, how quickly you enter the gate, but the whole drone has to go in.
Right.
Could come down to a matter of degrees as to who pitched it harder. Like when athletes dip for the line, you've got to get it's not that here, you've got to get your whole drone into the crash gate. You think of athletics, you think of sprinting, whoever touches the line first wins it. Here, you've got to get in that crash gate. That was an amazing final turn. Could have swung either way.
Ooh, still too hard to say.
You're not going to tell from that angle, but we do have available to our judging team better cameras and, of course, our timekeeping system to work it out. We will go, I think, to our next single heat while that one is being very thoroughly reviewed with our officials. Our second single heat at this quarterfinal. Dolma FPV. He is Andy Marakilian for Quad Force 1, the US team in blue. First in the IDRA Championship, possibly, depending on who you listen to, the fastest pilot of the USA. I think his teammates would disagree. Certainly one of. That's why we've got him in the World Series, which is the DCL. His opposition is Haihong Xia, first in the X-Fly International Open. You might know him as Hom. He is 38 years old and proudly representing China. Good performance from him yesterday. He picked up a win for his team. Andy Marakilian for Quad Force 1. None of them won. Quad Force 1 was swept out 5-0 in the first races of the first quarterfinal yesterday. Oh, we're getting some dabbing in our audience. That's allowed from you, pilots. Oh, I don't know. But in our audience, yeah, you can. So I thought it was 0.03 of a second between our two drones in that first single heat. I'm getting word from Tidekeeping, it was 0.02 of a second. But I'm not going to tell you yet who the winner is. We're having good fun here in Munich, and our pilots are really bringing it today. You are live, Munich, on YouTube. You are live on Facebook as well, around the world, with thousands of viewers at the DCL joining us. So, yeah, making thumbs, flosses, and the occasional tongue shown. There's a drone. That's a blue American one.
Marakilian, very talented pilot. Has only been flying for a year.
Let us know what you think then. Let us know who you think won that last race, if you could possibly tell. And let us know what you think of our drone racing so far. We are the Drone Champions League on Instagram. Use the hashtag DCL18, and we have a draw going on today as well for the best picture. So make sure you take pictures of yourselves, whatever you're doing here in Munich, and send that and tag Drone Champions League. You can also join us, if you're not already, on facebook.com/Drone Champions League, our YouTube channel, Drone Champions League. And on Twitter, we're only allowed 15 letters. So it's Drone Champions. Ooh. That's where you can find us on Twitter, the Drone Champions L. We go to the thing we all want to hear. Who won it between Cooper Groves for the American team and Bo Chen for the Chinese? Lucas Bellman will tell us now. Lucas, in that amazing finish, who got there just so closely in the lead?
We reviewed the first finish in the single heat. The winner is pilot number 1 of Team Quad Force 1.
Quad Force 1, the American team, get it. Cooper Groves turned it around. He was in front, he was behind. Bo Chen looked like he'd got it on the final turn. Cooper Groves took it on the final turn. There's the chief. There's Campbell telling you how it is done. Cooper Groves gets the point over China Dragons. They go 1-0 up into our next single heat. It's with us now between Andy Marakilian and Haihong Xia. Blue drone with a better start, but China Dragon quite a long way behind him. That is Haihong Xia with some work to do as Andy Marakilian goes into the triplet and the Breitling Gate in the lead. Xia with a nice clean line from him. But Marakilian now exits the split S in just under 12 seconds and Xia just under a second more. Marakilian out over the lake, not claimed many, if anything, yet today. Haihong Xia now looking to close that gap. Still remains, though, 0.8 of a second, nearly 9. Xia's view here, the Breitling Gate, and over. Marakilian still taking it mostly, 0.8 of a second in the lead ahead of him. Out onto the second lap, completing that and moving on to the third. Xia possibly pulling that gap. Oh, it's extended. Looked like at the end of the lap he closed it, but something between there and the triplet lets him down. Marakilian, 49.09. Xia now over a second behind him. Marakilian looks like he'll take a second point for Quad Force 1 in a more convincing fashion. Xia closing that gap, coming towards the end. Marakilian is home. Xia puts it into the DCL gates. And it wasn't the crash one, it was the final gate on course. Marakilian takes Quad Force 1, 2-0 up. Xia looked like he pulled the gap, but into a gate he goes.
Beautiful cornering by Marakilian. And actually, I believe that the Chinese pilot forgot to take the last gate.
Yeah, I'm not sure where he put it, but he's going to get a did not finish. He didn't make it all the way to the crash gate. I think he may have hit the final gate on course. There was a bang.
That was it.
I think he hit the DCL gate. So the first gate you race through is also the last gate you race through, with the exception of our hexagonal crash gate, which, as you saw earlier, Brandes hit. That doesn't count as a finish. And you saw just now Groves and Bo Chen go into, I think, the closest finish we've ever had. It's 2-0 to the American Blue Drones of Quad Force 1. Our third single heat, Alex Campbell, another new pilot, the Chief. And he is up against Ken Inway of China Dragons. And it was Ken who got 2 wins for his team yesterday. He wants this third win to his name. He wants a point for China Dragons. They need to start closing this thing, or the big heat will leave him with a lot to do.
Ken Inoue, one of the first pilots to break the 20-second lap times. Right now they go a lot faster already. The fastest I've seen, I think 17-something, 17.4. It's getting quite fast, isn't it?
Who was it?
Who do you think?
Adam Blackburn, I think it may have been, yeah.
You might be right.
Quad Force 1 in blue. China Dragons 2 points down in orange. Alex Campbell against Ken Inway. Campbell with the better start. Inway, we know, did some great work yesterday. That first turn into the triplet is good for Campbell and Inway. The flight over the bridge, good for both of them. They come out of that with Campbell 1.5 seconds in the lead. Inway with a lot to do at the end of the first lap. Doesn't look like 1.5 seconds anymore. It isn't, it's just a half. Inway's closed that a lot. Alex Campbell, so excited for his teammates earlier on. It's on his shoulders now. A half a second disappears again, but this time it's for Campbell's benefit. The gap between these pilots showing that parts of this circuit favours one. Other parts of it, particularly the end of a lap, favour Inway. He sees Campbell very low in front of him as they went through the triplet. Into the water goes Inway for the China Dragons. I think he took the lead from Campbell at one point, I'm not sure, but it is Campbell who's still in the air, completing that lap, told he can wrap it up. He brings it around into the crash gates. Quad Force 1, 3-0 after the single heats, and 1 point to the lake. There's Inway in the distance. He was, I think, in the leader through the split S.
Yeah, it was
came
very
down
tight.
too hard.
It was interesting to see, actually, because Campbell was having some very smooth cornering, taking the hard 180s through the Breitling gate, very clean. But I think, actually, Inouye has a faster quad, because once we got over the water and the quads really reached full speed, Inouye was able to take him every lap. So very impressive work by Campbell.
Inouye, of course, will field another drone for the big heats. And it was brilliant. We saw that course go back and forth in favor of each pilot. 3-0, Quad Force 1. Now remember, they lost every single heat yesterday, 4-0 in total. They're looking to do this over China Dragons in this fourth single heat. Evan Turner against Ronnie Chow. Turner, just 15-year-olds. Turner, fourth in qualifying today, a brilliant pilot for them. And comfortably in the lead, out of the triplet, before Ronnie Chow is even into the second gate of it. The gap between them almost 2 seconds under the bridge. And Evan Turner showing Ronnie Chow a clean flight path around here in his light blue American drone. Turner over Chow, still 2 seconds. Chow's view now has not got Turner in front of him because he's too far ahead. Might get a glimpse of him as he comes under for the split S. You go over, flip it 180 and pull it out underneath. There is an audience on that bridge. I hope you're having fun on the bridge, ladies and gentlemen. Turner in the lead, Chow still in the air, but that gap now over 3 seconds. Turner comes down cleanly, is over the water cleanly, goes around this pylon to his left. Right, that one sharp left turn and complete his third lap. You go through that final DCL gate that we've been talking about, swing it around the tree and put a 4th point on the board. Yeah, baby, he says to his teammates. Quad Force 1 disappointed with their performance yesterday, rocking it today.
Amazing work by the 15-year-old. He's a big fan of the split S. That's what we call the half looping over the bridge.
Talk us through that, Martijn. As a pilot, how do you do a split S like that?
It's a combination of movements. First, you have to turn your quad upside down, and then you have to pretty much loop it back to make sure you can enter, or exit rather, underneath the bridge at full speed. So it's pretty much a slingshot movement.
If anyone's wondering, why do you flip it over and then pull it out upside down under the bridge instead of dive and turn it at the bottom of the loop?
Well, it's because we only have throttle pushing us up. We cannot push down.
Yeah, it's like that. It's more responsive with the stick in the downward position and your drone going up. 4-0 for Quad Force 1 over China Dragons. So, China Dragons, if they take first, second, third, and fourth place in this big heat, they'll get 4 points for it, and we'll settle this on finishing points, which is very interesting, because Quad Force 1 have got 9 of them, and China Dragons have got 8.
Yeah, I'm so happy those guys have pulled it together in the one-on-one heats now.
So there's various ways this can get settled. The first thing we'll look at is heat points over finishing points, and then it comes down, if it's still a draw, to just best performance in qualifying, which is Evan Turner.
Yes.
So it looks like...
Statistically, it's looking good for
it's looking good for Quad Force 1. But China Dragons can show us what they're made of. Semi-finalists yesterday wanted to get to the grand final. They were wiped out 4-0 by eventual champions yesterday, Rotorama. They had a disqualification amongst them for going beyond safety height.
Yep.
Nothing dangerous happened. It's just we have these margins of error. You have to fly underneath a certain height. There's netting everywhere, of course. There's a big difference between the limit we tell the pilots and the limit that is actually, netted. And it went beyond our flight limit.
You're absolutely right.
Disqualified for that, which meant couldn't turn it around in the big heat. They lost 4-0 to Rotorama. Here they are 4-0 down again. But the big heat awaits.
Yeah, so Cooper Groves actually right now is flying his borrowed quad. But I'm sure he can pull something off here.
It's rather ironic that some drones were lost at an airport when they weren't flying. Okay, now we are getting on stage. Is that a protest coming in from Quad Force 1? Now they're registering some kind of protest live here on our stage in Munich for Cooper Groves.
It seems like it, yes.
Who's the leftmost pilot as you look at the stage? It might be that they don't want to fly this big heat as the drone is, the state of the drone is...
As I can see on my monitor in front of me, Cooper Groves having some video problems. Could be on the receiving end. Could also be on the drone side.
If there's a video issue, and it's a trackside problem. If it's a trackside problem, then clearly a rerun is available. If it's pilot error, anything to do with the pilot's drone, which is causing a video issue, and they can't see well enough to fly, if it's pilot side or drone side, then you don't get a rerun. That's being investigated now as to whether it's the settings on the drone or whether it's interference with trackside. But we've had brilliant video performance for these pilots, some of the best video conditions we could ask them to fly under. So I think, typically on this course at least, yeah, trackside is deemed to be okay. Cooper Groves is out of this big heat. 3 blue drones are going up. All 4 quads of the China Dragons team need to beat them to the finish. And in the lead is one of the orange drones. But Marakelian wants to say something about that. We've got impacts into the Breitling Gate into the middle of the triplet, but they've recovered it. One American drone has possibly gone over. Some of them are being flagged up as a jump start. Marakelian possibly missed the Breitling Gate and went over the top. Campbell, though, is up in the front. And Charles Shah and Inouye are a long way behind him. All of this at the back, all of the jump starts and the wrong flights won't matter if Campbell just wins it outright. He's in the lead. Shah, Chow and Inouye want to make some different on it. Campbell in the lead now. Inouye, Shah and Chow. 2.5 seconds is the difference he needs to do. 3 for Shah, 4 for Chow. They've got to take this thing at the front, and if Chen gets cleared of a jump start, he needs to get up there and finish it in 4th. Campbell looking to wrap this thing up. 3 laps down. He could be in the final crash gate before anybody's on that lap with him. There's a red drone in the finishing gate very quickly. 3, 4, maybe even 5 of them getting it home. I think Marakilian's going to get flagged for going over the top of a gate. I think there's a Chinese drone who possibly missed a turn and went into the crash gate a little bit too soon. But I think all of that might be redundant, and Alex Campbell might take Quad Force 1 to the semis.
So this is where we see the start. Yeah, I think I see a drone taking off too soon there.
I saw 3 of them being flagged up for jump starts. Maybe 1 went way too soon and 2 drones saw him and went with him.
You might be right.
There's a lot of good handshakes and smiles on stage from good competition between these 2 teams. But quite conclusively, Quad Force 1, the American teams who went out in the quarterfinals yesterday, go to the semi-finals in place of China Dragons. Quad Force 1, 5-0. That's how they left a quarterfinal yesterday, but on the receiving end to the world champions. Here they progress to our semi-finals, where the young team Wild Prop will race them later on. 4 quarterfinals in the books. What a set of running that was. What a set of quarterfinals. I hope you are entertained with us on YouTube and Facebook and live here in Munich as well. Quarterfinals all done. No reruns needed, as we had a few yesterday to settle some things and clear up some problems which some of the pilots had. They were granted reruns for various issues, but not today. Mirko Cezena is going to be making another appearance. Ladies and gentlemen, take a look at the massive RC helicopter he brings with him. If you saw a little taster of his show yesterday, you're going to get the full unabridged version very shortly. This is going to be an incredible 3 minutes of yesterday. You have never seen anything like the 10 minutes he's going to hit you with now. This is a brilliant champion helicopter pilot at his best. Don't go anywhere, whether you're with us here in Munich or whether you're with us on YouTube and Facebook. Mirko Cezena is going to blow your minds. countdown of beeps as well, which gives them 10 seconds notice, and then 3, 2, 1. And to be honest, the way Young Rock Sun went off ahead of him, I'm surprised Michael Isler had a full start. Here it goes, look at the bottom right of your picture. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe nerves at the start of the day.
It could be, yeah.
So, first heat point, but there's a long day ahead of us.
You're right.
Young Rock Sun takes that one. I just think the way Young Rock Sun was leaving Michael Isler behind, that was really fast. If Isler had got a full start, then Young Rock Sun got a really good one straight behind him.
Yeah, what could have happened is that he just lifted off the starting grid, and I saw him go up before he went forward. Maybe he noticed that he took off too early and paused a little bit.
On your screen there's Heiko Schenk. He's next for Next Blades Racing. And he's up against Dario Neuenschwander, FP Vader for the Swiss Black Kites.
Heiko Schenk's drone yesterday got so hot that the solder started to melt. And that caused a crash mid-air, yes.
That's unusual, to say the least.
It is unusual, but he has a very unusual drone.
Yes, he does. We may or may not explain more about that later on. As technical changes are allowed, we have these parameters here in the DCL between 780 grams and a kilogram, a certain minimum size that it has to be for safety reasons. You have to obviously use certain components to be compatible with our video system here so that we can live stream the video around the course so that the pilots can fly it with FPV goggles on. But there's plenty of freedom in design, and these pilots love to get hands-on and make changes and test things out.
That's
Heiko
right.
Schenk's pioneering new drone isn't working there.
No, it isn't. No. The staff is trying to figure things out.
You can see our starting blocks there with our runners who wave things in front of the camera to let the pilots know when it's their turn to spin them up. And Heiko Schenk's drone is refusing to play.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. His mom is here, actually.
Mrs. Schenk?
Yes, Mrs. Schenk is here, somewhere in the audience.
Ah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's you, Joachim. We have one of the team owners from last year waving. I don't think it's you. Mrs. Schenk, if you're in sight, let us know where you are. We'll find out some gossip about Heiko. Here we go then, next race of the day. Okay, Schenk's drone isn't going to take off, which means Dario Neuenschwander gets this one to himself. So this is Neuenschwander showing us a way around this course. But with Schenk unable to start, this is clearly going to be a point straight to the Swiss Black Kites. But take a look at this course if you're new with us today. That is a split S over the bridge. Wave at everybody and then come underneath them. Through our chicane over the water. One lap is all he gets. He could have gone round for a second or third to get a bit more stick time. But that's just a little test lap. And we have finisher points this year. Complete a lap and complete a race. You get finisher points for it. And then when we have a dead heat between teams after heats of racing, we use the finisher points to settle it. So it's worth getting that lap in, worth getting that point just in the back pocket should you need it later.
Definitely, yeah. Valuable points. Whenever there's a draw, they're going to look at team points. Yeah, that can be of a lot of importance later on in the competition. 2
points been allocated, 1 to each team so far. Let's get a proper race on our stage. Let's get a proper race over this lake. I want to see 3 laps of racing action, and I know you do too. It is Gary Kent stepping up next for Next Blades Racing. He's goggled up on stage, and that man is Raphael Strahl for Swiss Black Kites. Pilot who managed to win a few single heats when he was with us last year when he was racing with FPV Racing. Fastest in the Swiss Nationals. He helped FPV Racing be the runner-up team in 3 of our locations during the 2017 season. Gary Kent, we know well from 8 wins that he got last year as Justice FPV. He's first in the French Drone Nationals, first in the Multi-GP Open International in USA. A very highly respected pilot. And if we get 2 drones up in the air from both of them.
Yeah, he's flying a lot faster than yesterday. Yesterday's qualifying time was 16th. Today he took home 3rd place in qualifying. Quite impressive.
Yeah, really, really good to see that from him. So, Gary Kent in blue for Next Blades Racing and Swiss Black Kites in purple. As you can see, those are our starting blocks. When we've done qualifying and each pilot has a position for his team, we put the slowest pilots in qualifying at the front of our starting blocks, on the ones nearest the camera, and the fastest pilots in qualifying at the back.
Ah, this is what
and
we
yeah,
see.
if you've got your goggles, you can pick up some of the video signals here, Martin.
Exactly. Yeah. We're using open frequencies, so anyone with a goggle or a screen can, catch it. I think we're having some final preparations with the track. Here we go.
Gary Kent and Raphael Strahl. And both drones up in the air with Strahl having the faster, higher launch. Gary Kent takes the speed forward though, and he takes the lead into our triplet of gates. Through the Breitling gate with Kent still in the lead, and Strahl follows him into a split S. Quick flip from Strahl over the top, and half a second separates them between them. Kent with the lead in the chicane over the river, and Strahl